Hey there, YouTube and Whooper Club fans. It's me, Fruit Taco, the coach of the Route 1 Burbs, here to bring you the feature match from Week 2 of the Whooper Club League. This week we're taking a look at the match between the Buffalo Bouffalant, coached by Illogic, and the Waterdeep Wobbuffets, coached by Steve Chuck. These are two of the highest performing coaches in the league, and they were ranked number 1 and 2 in the power rankings after Week 1, so this is definitely going to be an intense match. But before we head into the replay, let's check out how the teams stack up against each other. These teams, honestly, in my opinion, are remarkably evenly matched. Looking at the speeds, the Bouffalant eke out a couple of points above the Wobbuffets here and there towards the top end, most notably the Kartana and the Hydreigon outspeeding and threatening the Terrakion and Haxorus respectively by a single point each. However, the Wobbuffets have an extra Pokemon above base 100 in the Thundurus, and also a slight edge in speed down towards the bottom here. The teams can practically match each other roll for roll too, with fast pivoters each, terrifying physical breakers, dragons that can set up, bulky offensive fire types, bulky flip-turning water types, and more. If I had to pick, I'd give the slight edge to the Wobbuffets here. Terrakion and Thundurus just put out so much pressure even without a boost, and the versatility of Starmie seems great here, especially with its speed. This match could easily go either way, though, and it's going to come down to prep, strategy, and execution by our coaches to see who wins. So let's check out what the coaches are bringing this week. For the Bouffalant, Illogic settled on Tornadus Therian, Kartana, Hydreigon, Nidoqueen, Bronzong, and Jolteon. He said he expected strong offense from his opponent and had to leave some of the slower, bulkier pieces behind because they just wouldn't be able to keep up with all of that pressure. Torn comes as a standard pivot set with Taunt to stop any opposing setup. We see the uncommon Muscle Band item on Kartana for extra damage without inviting in free switches, and also it happens to match the damage output of Adamant Scarf if Illogic needs to end up bluffing that. Jolteon comes as fast support with Yawn and Light Screen, as well as Baton Pass to pivot in the face of Thundurus' Volt Absorb. Nidoqueen comes as a way to deal with Tapu Bulu and Heatran, and with Bulk in an Assault Vest can live a hit from and trade with a big threat if it needs to. If Heatran and Bulu are gone, Scarfed Hydreigon can really let loose with KO-grabbing Dracos, revenging coverage moves, or cleaning Stab Dragon Pulse. Lastly, Power Herb Bronzong comes to spread damage with Psychic and Grass Knot after getting off a Meteor Beam in front of Thundurus or Crobat and possibly grabbing a surprise KO. Moving on to the Wobbuffets, Steve Chuck is bringing Heatran, Terrakion, Thundurus, Therian, Haxorus, Crobat, and Starmie. Steve Chuck told me he felt he had a much better offensive matchup than defensive, so he decided to go with Hyper Offense, and we certainly see that with a whopping 4 whole setup sweepers. Heatran has an interesting role in this team, being a dedicated pseudo-suicide lead whose only job is to get up guaranteed rocks at the start to throw some calcs in the sweeper's favor. Bulky Starmie is here to remove potential webs, set screens to enable the sweepers to boost, and flip turn out into them. Rock Polished Terrakion has super effective stabs for many top threats on the opponent's side, and if it gets a weakness policy proc, can punch through basically anything else as well. Haxorus is running Sword Stance and Scale Shot this week to be a scary physical sweeper as well. Thundurus, with a Nasty Plot up, tears through just about anything, and Bulky Crobat can hopefully get off multiple Nasty Plots and then throw off devastating hurricanes with Heat Wave for the few flying resists it might see. Both coaches seem prepared for a slugfest of a match, so let's go see how it all unfolded. Both teams are lined up here with their big threats on each side. On the side of the Wobbuffets, Terrakion can hit everything it sees for super effective damage, as can Haxorus, except for Tornadus. On the other side, Hydreigon only has Heatran to worry about before its Dracos become free nukes, and Nidoqueen can hit everything for big super effective damage as well. We see the lead Heatran sent out as planned and the Nidoqueen. Was the Nidoqueen expecting the Heatran and countering it? Or, honestly, it seems great against anything here, threatening big damage on anything it could find itself up against. It's going to neuter the Heatran for Hydreigon, and Heatran's going to set up rocks just as both coaches had planned. Heatran goes down here, and that's a big Flying and Dragon Resist out of the way as Starmie comes in. Light Screen will let it easily take a Thunderbolt from Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen switches out to Tornadus, while Steve Chuck, happy with just the one screen flip, turns out into Thundurus. Great read from Illogic here, means Thundurus won't be setting up a Nasty Plot. Now we U-turn out into Jolteon to absorb a likely electric move from Thundurus. And that is what we see come out. Jolteon goes to disable Thundurus with Yawn, while Thundurus goes for Focus Blast and misses, So the lasting screen reveals Starmie's Light Clay. Thundurus switches out into Haxorus to stay awake, but Jolteon passes out to Kartana, who doesn't care about the light screen. Logic has to respect the potential setup and throws off a big knockoff, but Haxorus is going to take Kartana out and return with close combat. Now Hydreigon comes out. Haxorus is going to go down to Dragon Pulse, and that's one sweeper down, 3 to go, with Terrakion out next. Again, Logic has to respect the setup and stays into attack as Terrakion sets up a Rock Polish. That means it's going to outspeed everything, and with super effective damage across the board here, something's going to have to get KO'd here. It's just a question of what. Turns out that's going to be the Hydreigon. Now, Nidoqueen's going to come out to try and avenge its fallen comrade. It's going to take big damage from an Earthquake, but an Earth Power will easily KO the Terrakion. Starmie is going to come back out now, and again, a light screen will let it easily take a Thunderbolt. Nidoqueen's going to switch into Jolteon this turn, and Starmie's going to flip into Thundurus to wall it. Now, I don't know if this switch here was the right call. Nidoqueen is very low, and while Jolteon's light screen could potentially let it live a hit, note that Thundurus' Life Orb hasn't been revealed yet, it's only doing 30 to 40% to things behind light screen. Firing off an Ice Beam here would have done great chip on the flying types that could be coming in. Could have gotten Nidoqueen KO'd by Starmie, where Tornadus then gets to come in, claim a U-turn on Starmie or a chip on a switch, and puts Bronzong against a flying type like it wants to be. Or, it stalls out a small turn of Light Screen, potentially freezes the Starmie. Of course, Starmie could be packing Recover here, which, would be bad to Ice Beam into, so this could all just be hindsight talking on my part. Jolteon sets up its own light screen and eats the Psychic as we finally see the Life Orb recoil. With an opposing light screen up and expecting a yawn, Steve Trek switches into Starmie, who does get yawned. Jolteon's going to Baton Pass out to let Bronzong hit the field rather than risk healing Thundurus with a Thunderbolt. And the weak Starmie's going to flip turn out into Crobat. Now, we know that both of these Pokemon are special sets with setup and coverage for each other, so let's see how this turns out. Crobat sets up a nasty plot, while the Power Herb Meteor Beam fires off from Bronzong, but does just under half due to the light screen. Black Sludge Recovery. Heat Wave is going to do 27%. Psychic just misses the KO in return. Now, I do need to stop the battle and take a deeper look at these two turns, because something absolutely incredible happened. So, Crobat comes in and has 374 HP. Black Sludge is going to regain 1/16 of that, rounded down between turns, which is 23. Plus 1 Meteor Beam into Light Screen has a 1 in 16 chance of getting an absolute min roll of 186 damage. The follow-up Psychic has a 1 in 16 chance of getting an absolute min roll of 210 damage. 374 HP. Minus 186 from Meteor Beam, plus 23 from Black Sludge, minus 210 from Psychic is 1 HP. We saw a 1 in 256 double min roll happen to live on exactly 1 HP. Factor in a 1 in 24 chance to crit each turn, and that's less than a 0.4% chance of Crobat living there. That is absolutely insane. Now, because the Crobat is alive here, Heat Wave's going to do an extra 30% before it finally goes down, and Thundurus is going to come out as the last screen fades away. Focus Blast comes out from Thundurus, and it does hit to take down the Bronzong. Now, Jolteon's out, and I expect another screen to get set right up. It does set up the screen as Thundurus goes for the Nasty Plot, which I like here because he'll still be doing now the same damage as he would without the boost and no light screen, but this is going to minimize his Life Orb recoil. Yawn comes out from the Jolteon, and Thundurus has to risk Focus Blast to get the KO, but does land it, bringing the game to 2 Pokemon each. Thundurus is going to switch out to Starmie to avoid falling asleep, and Tornadus will easily get the KO with U-turn, bringing in Thundurus and Nidoqueen. Thundurus is going to easily knock out Nidoqueen with Psychic, and it'll be Therian Form versus Therian Form to close out the match. Because of the light screen up, both Pokemon are going to take 2 turns to KO each other, but Thundurus can safely click Thunderbolts, while Tornadus is going to likely need to hit a Hurricane somewhere here. 100% accurate knockoff comes out from Tornadus, and Thundurus fires back with a Thunderbolt, and gets the 10% para chance! That'll seal it as Thundurus cleans up with another Thunderbolt. The paralysis was lucky, but Tornadus would have had to hit a 70% accurate Hurricane to win, so it didn't for sure swing the game, but that's about the closest you can win a match by. Would clicking Hurricane before knockoff have been better for a logic? If it missed, a critical hit from a follow-up Hurricane would have KO'd after the extra Life Orb recoil. You would have also had the slight chance of Hurricane confusing Thundurus and it hitting itself, but there was a chance that a high initial knockoff roll would have made the roll on another knockoff more likely to KO than hitting Hurricane, so I'll leave the math to someone else to find out what was truly optimal. But man, this was an absolutely explosive fight as both trainers traded threat after threat in the early game to reach a tense and well-played endgame. Steve Chuck definitely got lucky with Crobat living and Thundurus snagging the ending para, but he certainly played well to get there and could have won even without that luck, just with a couple more mind games involved. My MVP of this game goes to Thundurus, picking up 4 KOs and applying monstrous pressure. Honorable mention to Starmie, though, whose flip turns were instrumental in keeping the Bouffalant on the back foot, and whose light screen made Elogic have to give up Kartana to Haxorus and severely hampered Nidoqueen and Bronzong. Hope you all enjoyed this week's feature match, and please check out the links in the description for more content from Wooper Club coaches, including Illogic's channel, which will have his own, probably better, analysis of this match on it soon. Thanks for watching, though, and I will see you in next week's match.